Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with another Mutant Monday, and just like last month, we'll be using Mutant Monday to also do at least the first Mutant Monday of the month to do an event recap for Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day. So normally I'd start with the core issues, but the tie-ins as well as everything are actually rather tightly organized. So yeah, we'll start off with X-Force number 30. So first, after the events of the previous X-Force storyline, Quentin Quire is at the moment unable to be resurrected. Wolverine's not happy about this and declares he's taking some time off from X-Force. And at the same time, Sage has brought into new recruits to the team, Deadpool and Omega Red. They're given a mission, which is mainly to prove themselves to be on X-Force. At the same time, Domino and Black Tom are given a mission to rescue Angel from who's being assaulted at one of the gates. Over the course of X-Force number 30, the mission that Deadpool and Omega Red are sent on, which is to shut down a mutant trafficking corridor in near the Arctic. Deadpool annoys Omega Red to the point of Omega Red dismembering Deadpool, and the pieces of Deadpool are then eaten by a polar bear, which Kraven the Hunter finds. Omega Red has successfully taken over the ship being used to traffic mutants through the Arctic. But because of the fact that mutants have conquered death, some see mutants as an apex predator, and this is brought up in Kraven's company, and so, well, he decides to prove that no, he's the apex predator. Which brings us to X-Force number 31. Turns out that Omega Red and Deadpool's mission was for PR purposes. The idea was they would steer the ship with the mutants to be trafficked to Sweden, where there was press awaiting, and basically start to get Krakoa trending positively online. Yeah. Side note, Beast is an absolute shitbag. That said, there are some text bits we'll have to go over. Beast's logbook, Omega Red's performance review. The mission, Omega Red, accompanied by Deadpool, was recently sent to an Arctic waterway along which Russian mutants were being trafficked. In expectation of a successful assignment, a press contingent was arranged and several reporters were bribed to maximize publicity. Relevance and intent. This was not a mission of goodwill. It was a mission of distraction. Ever since the secret of mutant resurrection was revealed, Krakoa has trended negatively in media coverage and public polling. By interrupting this trafficking operation, and by freeing the imprisoned mutants, we would remind the world of our historic victimization and paint another country as the enemy. Black Mark. Deadpool did not return with Omega Red, and no explanation has been given, beyond, I'm sure he'll turn up eventually. Black Mark. Omega Red, without consulting his superiors, bypassed the press and delivered the refugees directly to Krakoa. This undercut the intention of the operation and dirtied our shores with victims and undesirables who will do little to burnish our strength and reputation. Like I said, Beast is a shitbag. Note, sometimes I think the only way X-Force might be successfully unified and collaborative is if I clone myself several times over. Wow, that sounds a lot like somebody else, X-Men, an actual member of the Quiet Council, in fact. Mr. Sinister, who has cloned himself multiple times over. But Sage shows Omega Red the shadow room. You know, kind of a, hey, you need to, deal with your more violent and homicidal urges. Let me know. I'll give you some time in here on your own with whoever you want to let those urges out on. A recreation thereof. But yeah, possibly the one good thing in general, but given the intent, not so good thing that Beast does in the issue is stating something. Trying to at least somewhat intervene with Sage's drinking, as she is drinking more and more. It's the reason, mainly, that he wants Sage to side with him. And he's kind of thinking that, yeah, okay, we've been around for a while, so maybe it's time to reevaluate our policy on just letting any mutant onto the island. It bears repeating again. Beast is a shitbag. Next, and continuing the events of the first issue of Judgment Day, as well as Immortal X-Men number 4, we have Immortal X-Men number 5. In this portion of segment of things, the Eternal Hex are attacking Krakoa, and so Exodus deals with them. Exodus, along with Emma Frost and Hope. We also get more information. We learn more of Exodus's past and his initial encounter with Apocalypse, and the fact that he nearly killed the Black Knight of the era, who was in fact a friend. But Exodus, along with Hope and Emma, are able to take down one of the Hex. But it takes a lot to pull off. And then we've got X-Men Red number 5 and X-Men Red number 4. In Judgment Day number 1, Uranos, the uncle, as I recall, Thanos' uncle or grandfather, I can't remember, was one or the other, was sent to Krakoa to Arakko to deal with them. He was given an hour, and yeah. So, Brand, Cable, and Nightcrawler are briefing the Great Ring of Arakko about what's happening. But there's a brilliant flash of light, and Iska, with her mutant power to not be beaten, switches sides, kills one of the other members of the Great Ring before Uranos shows up. Nightcrawler teleports back down to teleports Iska out of there, out of the Great Ring, and also apparently Uranos had a large number of armories on Arakko, also known as Mars, which he has activated, laying waste to as much of Arakko as possible, including Sword Station 1. Legion goes up against Uranos and sadly falls. Most of the members of the Great Ring fall. Nova does what he can to Nova as well as Magneto's Brotherhood of Arakko do what they can to ensure to save those or to at least allow people to evacuate the planet. Magneto tries to defeat Uranos by encasing him in metal. Doesn't work. And Uranos rips his heart out. Cable teleports down a massive gun and, he causes Uranos to bleed. And is then killed. In an hour, most of Arakko is wiped out. However, not all that are believed dead are dead. Magneto is still alive, somehow, with a gaping hole in his chest. Yeah. And so now we get AXE Judgment Day #2. The battle against the Hex rages onward. Exodus, Emma, Hope, and now Jean are combining their forces to deal with it. The Avengers show up to help out with an insistence, with it being insisted that they work more on evacuating non-combatants. On Avengers Mountain, Makari, Phastos, Ajak, Tony Stark, and Sinister are working on building a new basically bringing the Celestial that is currently serving as the Avengers headquarters back to life. Though Ajak makes it clear that she doesn't want Sinister involved in creating the personality of this new Celestial. But with the insistence that the Avengers help with evacuating non-combatants, some members of the Quiet Council point to, oh yeah, see? In our hour of need, they abandon us. But the Celestials Tony Stark is used as kind of a base plate for the Celestial's mind and personality. One of the Hex is destroyed. Cable has been resurrected. The dead are resurrected, including Exodus. The Celestial is the damage done to the ancient body is repaired by Phastos, though Sinister notices a weakness is discovered in the Celestial. But we'll get to that later. The Celestial, however, comes online, and the attack ceases. After all, Eternals must listen to the Celestials. And the Celestial states that says the following: "People of Earth, listen. You are bickering children. The planet is ruined. You have acted with unrelenting unkindness to one another. You leave me no option. This is your judgment day. You have 24 hours to justify yourselves. You will be judged individually. You will be judged as a collective. If there is more that is just than wicked, you will live. But if you are found lacking, there will be no tomorrow." And that is where issue 2 ends. And we'll get to issue 3, but we've got a few things in between to get to first. Starting with X-Men number 13. So, the X-Men are dealing with the Hex. Forge has created a biotech cannon, which does some damage, but it takes a while to reload. He also explains that nanites don't grow on trees yet, but he's working on it. Oh, what's his friggin' name? Icarus, yes. Icarus and Jean discuss a plan to stop the, at the very least, to stop Uranus' armories. But it will require the Eternals to help. So a strike team is formed consisting of Sync, Magic, Forge, Iceman, Firestar, and I think also Havoc. Icarus clears the way, which will be gotten to in our next book. But the X-Men make it to where they need to go, and they manage to stop Uranus' armories. And also, at least hinder the Eternals a bit. But then comes the message about being judged. And there's wraps up with a letter to Emma Frost from Bart Jones, Angelica Jones, Firestar's father. "Dear Emma, I couldn't imagine ever contacting you again for what you put my daughter through. When she needed a strong maternal figure, you filled that void, but you betrayed her. I have so many regrets, but trusting you with my daughter will always be at the top of the list. To be perfectly honest, I've moved past it all. I don't like ruminating on the past, but my heart skipped a beat when I saw a news alert with my daughter's photo on my phone from your big party. Angelica has been elected, drafted, onto your X-Men, and I can only wonder what game are you playing now? Why have you advocated for her now? If this is your way of trying to make amends, perhaps a simple apology would have sufficed. If you have ulterior motives, you should know that the cruelty heaped upon my daughter at your behest gave her an edge that I wish she did not have. If you are maneuvering her onto the stage to dump blood on her at the prom, just know that I will not forgive you, and neither will she. She learned from a tender age just how mean the world could be, and I've taught her to stand up for herself. And if you have any ulterior motives this go around, I ask you to ask yourself, hasn't she been through enough? And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next book. AXE Judgment Day, Death to the Mutants. Bit misleading of a title, really. The Eternals discuss what's going on. Well, the Eternals who have left Eternal Society for Lemuria are discussing what's going on, making plans, and also, talking with their deviant allies. They're able to get a few things, and then but Icarus has an idea. So it's explained. We have an explanation of the psychic battle going on between the psychic Eternals as well as the psychic mutants. It's put in video game terms. Put it like this: mutants do a lot more damage. Excuse me. Eternals have a lot more hit points. But the Eternal... Damn it. Okay. The Eternal strike team led by Icarus manages to get the exclusion and do what damage they can to the Eternals' war efforts, while leaving the psychic Eternal that's been psychically dueling with Xavier is incapacitated and prevented from continuing his battle. But it's also a message is left for the Eternal. A message is left by Icarus: death to the Eternals. Apparently, this is Death of the Mutants, issue 1. Which brings us to Judgment Day, number 3. Everyone's kind of freaking out a little because, instead of just kind of saying, "Hey, Eternals, quit fucking with the mutants," instead the Eternals like, you know what? I'm gonna judge everyone on this planet. If I find the majority lacking, well, bye, bitches. The first to be judged is Captain America. He is found lacking. But so the creators of this particular celestial are trying to figure out, okay, how we is there a way to maybe to stop him? A a weakness has been found. However, that weakness could lead to the celestial falling on Reykjavik. Of course, Sinister, who could care less about what happens to Reykjavik, informs Destiny of this. Destiny calls manages to call a quiet council meeting, and the decision is made to take down the Celestial. As the X-Men get reinforcements in the form of the Deviants, who it seems are close enough to mutants to fool the Krakoan gates. But Sinister does what he has to do to help the strike team dealing with the Celestial. The X-Men arrive in the Arctic, and the Celestial's in danger. So even the Eternals on their side turn against them. The strike team consists of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Dupe, somehow Kid Omega, because he's no longer dead, Exodus, Colossus. But the battle, it turns out, is all the whole thing's in their head. Or rather, everyone's heads. The Celestial, after the attempted attack, the Celestial tells the world that, listen, people of the earth, your heroes think yourselves gods above judgment. Now you all see they are mistaken. Your day ticks away. Justify yourselves. And the Celestial has basically tosses out a few additional judgments. Thumbs down for the Woman of Diamond, Emma Frost. Thumbs up for the Deviant Warlord, Crow. Thumbs down for the woman who walks between futures and the woman who walks beside her, Destiny and Mystique. Others he will consider longer. Jean, having learned the truth about the weakness and the fact that we would have destroyed Reykjavik, psychically confronts Sinister and is not happy. And yeah, no. Also, those working on the Celestial are very unhappy with Sinister. And the only way to explain the only way to get through. Cap says the only way to probably to actually pull off making it through the Celestial's judgment is for the whole world to pull together. Easier said than done. However, Circe of the Eternals has an idea. Slipping into the exclusion, she enlists the aid of Jack of Knives in freeing another Eternal, one imprisoned. That Eternal being none other than Eros, brother of Thanos, and formerly the Avenger known as Star Fox. He's at least been keeping up with what's been going on, and he figures that perhaps what's necessary is showing the world all it needs is love. Love is all you need, right? Isn't that how the song goes? And so, for our final book in this recap, we've got X-Men number 14. That's right, 2 issues of X-Men in the last month. Ain't that a kick? So it turns out that the Game World's been destroyed. That news hasn't made it all across the universe, and so a group of enterprising intergalactic criminals who've stolen Nova Corps helmets, or maybe they're former members of Nova Corps. It's not the issue that doesn't specify. But they decided they're going to try and get the Game World jackpot for destroying the Earth by dropping a device in it that would cause a massive solar flare, which would fry the Earth. An attempt is made by Cyclops and Magic to stop them. The torpedo is launched into the sun. But however, Cyclops tells Jean what's going on. He passes the information along to Iceman. He starts making a massive ice shield around the planet. And Firestar is recruited to deal with the fact that the ice shield is the debris from that ice shield is going to be rather dangerous. Forge does the math and explains just how thick the ice shield has to be. Magic and Cyclops save the astronauts aboard the ISS as well. The solar flare hits the the ice shield, and also Firestar does what she can to get it out of the way, or to mitigate things. But the destruction is averted. Firestar and Iceman land in Chicago, and protesters at the gate in Chicago, and one of them wearing a sandwich board protest sign that says "God hates muties," which Magic has decided to put her own spin on by writing on the backside on his back. Magic was here, but Iceman's asked to answer some questions about what's going on. At first, says no, I can't. I got to go back to saving the world. Or, I got to go back to saving my people. But he says, you know what? No, I will. And so what follows is an excerpt from an interview with Iceman after stopping the solar storm. I'll have a few moments before I need to get back to our giant monster problem, but I did want to stop and introduce myself. I'm Iceman. At the school I grew up in, we used to call our mutant powers gifts, even though they often were not. Me and my fellow students at Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, most of us were told to hold back, be reserved. We couldn't afford to slip up in a world that always seemed to hate us. But playing it safe might have kept me bottled up in other ways. Maybe it was good for the humans around us. Probably wasn't good for me. Pretending to be something I wasn't and would never be. It was like carrying a rock around in my heart. There was an emphasis in the early days on fitting in, on coexisting, and I still believe in that. But why should we only dance to your beat? Maybe we had our own moves to bust. I did. Just took me a bit longer to find mine. I was anything but normal, and I sure could look it if I wanted. Not all of my folks can look like you're normal. I don't want anybody to thank me for my friends that I did today. That's never why we do it. But if you wanted to be one solid, see me for who I am. A mutant. A gay man. I know that's 2 strikes with a bunch of the folks I helped save today, and I'll be honest, even after everything I've ever been through, it still hurts. I can change my body. I can look like you're normal. Lately, I've been wearing my ice because I'm proud of who I am, and I'm doing it for all the mutants who can't look like humans and don't want to. Maybe I can save some young mutants and humans some time in grief. Don't wait to be who you are, and don't be ashamed of that person. Thanks for your time. I had to get back to our home. It's still under attack. Thanks for listening. Turns out the reporter turns in the story, the interview, but her editor seems to kind of wants to, maybe just omit Iceman being open about his sexuality. After all this, Cyclops goes to the Arctic to be judged, but he says that he does not recognize the authority of the Celestial and requests a change of venue, adding that the only person who can judge him is his wife, Jean Grey. Scott says he can arrange a meeting between her and the Celestial, and maybe he'd also take a scolding from his teammates, the X-Men. And so, the Celestial judges him thumbs up. And that is where the issue ends. And that will do it for this event recap. We'll be back at the beginning of next month with the recap of this month's Judgment Day tie-ins, which will include Hawkeye being judged against the mailbox. That is going to be a tough. That honestly will be a tough one for Hawkeye. My boy Clint's been through some shit over the years, but I'm not sure he's going to be being judged against the mailbox is going to go well for him. I mean, maybe it will. Fingers crossed. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.